So we are back here at one of our favorite Denver places, checking out some Czech Pilsners, lagers at Cohesion Brewing with Eric Larkin, owner and brewer. He's going to tell us all about the handles, the Lucers, the pours, why they're yummy, delicious, and how they get to be and look like that. So Eric, say hello.
Hello. Good to be back on the podcast.
Hell yeah, it's awesome to have you again.
Yeah. So I'm going to start just talking about some Lucers and the faucet
Let's do
itself. So the Lucers are certainly the core of what makes a lot of our pours unique. So we're definitely known for our foamy pours, and we'll get into the styles and all that, but this faucet is really the tool that gets that done. So I like to say that about 90% of why the beer comes out foamy like it does when we pour it is because of these faucets.
100%.
So this company is about 30 years old. They're based in the Czech Republic, currently based in Pilsen, manufacturing elsewhere, but long roots in the Czech Republic. Lots of different varieties of faucets. They've gone through a lot of iterations. This is the current one. This is a Barocco, so this is their kind of like modern style faucet.
Okay.
They have a couple other models, including the Freedom, which is meant for American consumers because it's a pull top down.
Like
so
we couldn't figure this out.
Yeah, we can't space these out right, so they had to make a top down one for us. So,
all right.
So
to be special.
The big part of this faucet that is unique is the internal construction, which you won't be able to see on the video, but I can show you.
Yeah, we can get up
right here.
Closer too.
So it starts with closed, and really what makes this unique is when we open the faucet just a little bit, that very small opening that comes about.
So a ball joint?
So it's a true ball valve,
yeah.
Yep. So unlike a regular faucet where you have a plunger action, this has a true ball valve inside. Now that ball valve allows us to get a much smaller opening. So just like when you were a kid and you're out in the yard playing with the hose, when you get a really, oh yeah, we want that part too. When you get a really small opening on a hose, you get higher pressure, right? When you have a larger opening, thumb only covers half of it, pressure's not as high. Same thing's happening here. We're allowing a lot more pressure to be forced into the system as we're dispensing the beer. When we increase that pressure, we get more foam.
Makes sense.
And we get a wet, drinkable foam. So most foam, when you drink it, when you have it, from a keg or whatever, and it's a foamy pour, it's kind of light, it's a little bit bitter, it doesn't really give you any good sensation in your mouth, it has no flavor to it, it's not something we want. But when we increase that pressure and we pour it through just that small opening, we get this wet, dense, drinkable foam. Mm-hmm. So the Czechs really have embraced this foam. They're all about it. Every pour you get in Czech Republic, whether it's poured through a Lucer or not, whether it's at the diviest dive or the fanciest bar you could find, it's going to have a lot of foam.
Right.
And typically that foam's going to be drinkable. And they could pour you a mug with half full of foam, and they're not going to apologize for it because that's how it's meant to be.
Absolutely.
So when we get into the pour styles,
because it's delicious, right? It's like this creamy sensation on top of a very nicely carbonated, delicious Pilsner, right?
Yeah.
Like wet, drinkable, but creamy, right?
Yes.
It goes so well together.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have three styles that we embrace here. You can see them on our menu. You can also see them back behind the bar in the Pilsner or Kelsign. So these three pours, at their base, we like to talk about them like specialty coffee shops would talk about their pour styles, right?
Sure.
So same base, you have coffee, in our case beer, and different amounts of foam or milk in the coffee shops. So when you take that same mixture of ingredients, but you do different things to it, you can create different flavors. So the foam has a flavor, the milk has a flavor. When we add more foam, we get a different level of flavor. So the three pours we offer, Hladinka is the standard pour. It means kind of perfect pour is sort of the jargon vernacular for it. Literally the word means levels. When you get those waves of foam, the lacing on your glass, that's the Hladinka. That's what they're kind of referring to, but if you've poured it right, if you clean the glass, if you poured it in the right way, you're going to get those nice lacing waves on your glass. The Schnitt is the second pour. So the Schnitt is it means slice or cut, and the Schnitt is more foam and a little bit of beer at the bottom with a little empty space at the top. This is the hardest pour to learn how to pour.
Okay.
Because you're leaving a little empty space, and it's kind of hard. You can't over pour, you can't under pour. You got to do it just right. So there's a lot of precision in that pour. So why do you order this pour? It's a shorter pour, less beer, about a third liter, about 10 ounces, as opposed to about 17 ounces on the Hladinka.
Okay.
So if you're looking for a little less beer, Schnitt is good.
Okay.
When we pour the foam, that's when we're pouring at that really closed position. So in addition to creating foam, we're knocking out carbonation. So So we knock out carbonation, we get a softer, smoother, more drinkable in some ways beverage,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Some people really thought that high carb was the way to go with lagers for a long time, and that's what made them very crisp and drinkable. And champagne is very high carb, can be very drinkable. But in beer, sometimes when you increase that carbonation, it can fill your gut up, it can fill your mouth up.
Fast, yeah.
Yeah, all those things. So the Schnitt lessens that carbonation, makes it a little bit softer from that perspective too. Some people also say it's like, oh, I'm running late, but I want a beer. Okay, I'll have a Schnitt, right?
Yeah.
So that's some examples of what that's used for. And then the Mliko is the last pour. This is definitely the most famous of the pours. It gets the most attention on the internet because it is a glass of foam. Mliko translates to milk. So that's really what it looks like, especially with the pale lagers. It looks like a glass of milk. It's also rich and creamy, kind of like a glass of milk. This pour is only foam, so it's meant to be poured only with that kind of soft or that really small opening. And this pour is meant to be drunk all at once. Right. So you're supposed to drink it before the foam settles to beer. Sure. You can drink it however you want. We'll serve you Mliko and you can let it sit if you want. But the sensation that you get with the special pour and the special faucet is really best experienced if you drink it really quickly. Sure. So we serve these in half liters, and then we also serve milk shots here, or the 5-ounce pours, just the taster size, if you want to try the foam. Yeah. So when we pour any of our styles, we encourage people to try the foam. We think it's an integral part of what we're doing, and the quicker you take a sip, kind of the better the experience that you'll get.
Absolutely. So coming back then, the Hlinka, is that like 2 inches from the top and then back to the Schnitt? So we've got that little bit of space, so we're catching it about halfway through. That's that kind of like slice in the middle. Yep. And then basically to the Mliko, you maybe see a little bit of beer at the
so that'll just be the beer that's settling at the bottom. Yeah. So
depending on how long it takes to get across the bar into your hand.
Or how carbonated the beer is. Sure. Or how, if they open it just a little bit more, we might get a little more beer than foam, so it could settle a little faster. But you can see in our image and the Pilsner Kelvin, there's just this little glisten at the bottom of beer. So normally by the time you pour the whole thing, a little bit has settled to beer, and you can see a little bit in the glass. Okay. With the Hladinka, so we're aiming to get, you can see it on this picture here, the foam right to the middle of the mug, or the handle. Sure. Right to the middle of the handle. Yeah. Of the top part of the handle. So we're ending up with about 2 to 3 fingers of foam on that Hladinka. And then the Schnitt, we typically say 2 fingers of beer, 4 fingers of foam, 1 finger of space. Okay. So. Okay. I like that. Yeah. You brought up the flavor a little bit. I want to touch back on that a little bit more. So mouthfeel, sure, it's like that milky, creamy, almost smoothie type of sensation when you're drinking it. So depending on the different types of, let's just say the pale lagers, what else are we getting in that? Is it more bready and more biscuity? Yeah, so hops are really one of the biggest pieces that I think interact with this foam. So when we dry hop a beer or have a hoppier beer, to me the foam tends to exhibit those hop flavors a little more. The malt flavor kind of stays consistent until you get into darker malts, right? Sure. So once we do Mlikos with the Tmave, that tastes very different. So these dark flavors kind of change. They sweeten up a little bit. They get a little richer. So where we're kind of getting like, you know, coffee, maybe a little bit of chocolate from the beer, the foam can kind of have this like cappuccino texture, right? So again, adding that milk into it to really soften it, smooth it out. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about the hops then. What should I look for then if I'm having it? With the Mliko in particular, or with the foam? Any of them, yeah. So you're just going to get more of that, of the flavor that would come from the hops. So we don't really do a lot of super hoppy beers, right? It's not big in the Czech tradition. Right. But we have, let's say we dry hopped a beer with Kozbek. Kozbek has a little bit of citrus, orange peel, some tangerine to it, right? Okay. So if you pour a milk shot of that, instead of it tasting, you know, just kind of bready, smooth, milky, you're actually going to get a little bit of this citrus essence to it, right? So it can change in that way. It's not strong, but it obviously carries some of the aromatics that would be present in those hops into the foam and into the taste. Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. I think that's a great example. Like maybe almost scone-like. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. All right. Fruity scone. That's where I would go. Yeah. Cool. I love that. All right. Should we check out some pours? Yeah, let's do some pouring. Yeah. Handle. Are we good on, you think we're good on handle? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. So we've got our Lucer tower and 3 Lucer taps in front of us. So we're going to walk through the pour styles here. Before we do that, the really important part of being a Czech tapster and what I've learned traveling over there is the cleanliness of the glass is of the utmost importance. So you'll see in a lot of Czech bars, they actually wash by hand. And that's to make sure that glass is really, really clean. Dishwashers do a great job, but by hand is almost certain to be clean. The other thing they do is this cold water bath. So we have all of our mugs resting in this cold water bath to start with. And so the goal of this is that this is chilled water that will match the temperature of the beer. So we're kind of chilling that glass down to make your beer a little colder, a little longer, as well as giving a wet surface for that foam to adhere to when we pour
Makes
the
sense.
beer.
Yeah.
So every pour of ours, we take the mug out of this glass. We want to make sure it's as dry as possible. And then as I was mentioning, we had kind of a couple different steps on the faucet, the ways we can pour it. So we can pour foam and we can pour beer. So to pour foam, we open it just slightly and we're getting just foam. If we open it all the way, then we turn to beer. So each of the pours is a series of steps with different lengths of time of foam and different lengths of time of beer, right? So for the Mliko pour, it's all foam. You open the foam, put the glass under, just let the foam collect until the mug is full. With the Hladinka pour, this is the one that's, again, if you just walked up and ordered a beer, no context, hey, I'd like a 10 degree, you're gonna get a Hladinka pour. And same would be true in Czech Republic. If you don't specify, this is the pour you're gonna get. So with all the pours, we start, again, with foam. We let a little bit of foam drip out of the glass, or before it goes into the glass, a little foam out, scoop the glass under at a 45-degree angle, build the right amount of foam in the glass, and open to all beer. We'll slowly move the mug down, and as we're moving the mug down, we shut and pull away. And we would always turn to the customer. So you can see this one has, I can't see how I do, 3 fingers of foam maybe.
Yep.
And the rest is beer. We're aiming again for that foam to sit kind of right in the middle of the top of the handle.
Beautiful.
Pretty much where our foam ended up. We're looking for a nice smooth top. So we really want to have, you can kind of see that the foam is liquid enough that it's kind of sitting down. It's not overflowing. It's not above the glass, but it's enough that it's holding its shape and consistency for a good period of time. So that's a Hladinka pour. As I mentioned, sometimes in Czech, I've been given, foam down to there, and they're unapologetic about it. That's how it is.
Sure,
they would not re-pour it. They would not, hey, can you top me up? That's the beer you're going to get.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So you're welcome to try this one if you
Yes, please.
are interested in sipping some
which
beer.
one are you pouring?
This is the 10 degree.
Okay.
Our Cohesion 10. So, like I said, I recommend taking a sip pretty quickly, but I've been chatting, so that one's had a little bit of time to settle. So the next pour would be the
Rich,
Schnitt.
creamy,
so I'm going to give
delicious.
this one a shot. I don't do it very often, so hopefully I do a good one. I think I got it. Again, the Schnitt is mostly foam.
Bring in the pro.
Some
I'm
beer.
just kidding.
We could bring in the pro. We'll see. If I mess it up, then she'll come in. So same idea, foam first, mug under. We're just going to pour more foam this time. So we're going to let that foam build up quite a bit more to get our Schnitt pour. We're going to open the beer. And we're going to shut. So we're going to end up with roughly 2, I was a little low on my beer, 4 fingers of foam and a little bit of space at the top. So again, this pour, you can see it reflecting light on the top. That's a good sign. That means we got a lot of good wet foam in there. This beer will have a little bit lower degree of carbonation and a little bit more of that rich, creamy flavor. So give this one a sip too, because you can taste the difference now that you have all 3.
I've never done these side by side.
Oh, shit.
So now you're tasting only foam, right? You didn't even get to the beer, so it's got a different
Not
flavor,
even yet.
different consistency. You can see the very small dots from your sip. They call those snowflakes. That's a good sign of a wet glass, a clean glass, and lots of good lacing. So that's all you want to look for those if you're pouring with the Lucer, the snowflakes on there. So yeah, same beer, but a little bit different taste, right?
Definitely more creamy, more like a beer milkshake.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you let it settle, that'll be about 10 ounces, and that beer would be a little lower carbonated too. So.
Right. Where here it was like this quick splash of like that milkshake effect, and then instantly like the carbonation's coming in afterwards to kind of wash it away. This is gonna last a lot longer. I'm excited for this because it's gonna be like all beer milkshake.
So the last pour is the Mliko pour. So definitely, again, the one that agitates the internet the most. Is traditional in Czech, has a newer history, a younger history, but is still a thing that happens. I will caution people if you're traveling to Czech and you're out maybe in the remote villages, they may not know what you're talking about. If you're in Prague, if you're in Brno, if you're in Pilsen, they're gonna know what a Mliko is, and you won't see a ton of people drinking it, but they are pretty fun. So this pour, easiest pour in the book. Open the foam, just collect the foam all day.
So you're not even going down to the glass like you.
So yeah, we're not going to submerge the faucet under the beer as we did previously. So we're just going to let it collect. I do pour it at an angle so that we don't disturb that pretty top of foam when we get it.
So if I were to let this sit, was that 5 ounces?
So this
Or
would turn into about 10 ounces of
10
beer.
as well. All
About
right.
the same as the Schnitt. So you can see just the glimmer of beer at the bottom. You can see it starting to cascade and settle, kind of like a Guinness, right?
Sure.
So you can see those bubbles kind of turning into liquid very slowly.
Or you just take it all down at one time.
Do it.
I don't think I can.
You can drink as much as you want, but yeah, get a sip of just the foam and take a couple sips if you can.
It's delicious, hoppy,
So you
Beer
do
foam.
you get a little more hops coming out of that one?
a lot more.
Yeah.
The malt in the background, for sure, right?
yeah.
Like it's there.
Yeah, it's meant to be a fun novelty thing. Like this is not something you can do with every faucet. It's not meant to be an everyday drink, but it's a fun celebratory, hey, let's have a Mliko or let's have milk shots, stuff like that.
I think the biggest thing here is like if you're thinking about why would I want to drink foam, because foam often just goes up your nose and doesn't have like any flavor. Like this has a ton of flavor. Like it tastes like a really good beer, but in the form of foam. And I like to say wonderful, yummy, delicious, because that's something my dad always used to say, and it is wonderful, yummy, delicious, and it tastes like a great beer, but it's foamy.
Would you like to take a foam shot with me of the,
Yep.
the dark lager? So this is
Yeah.
our Tmave. So that was all 10 degree, which is a lighter beer for us,
Mm.
and obviously has its own kind of foam profile. This is our most popular foam pour, and like if you come in and just say, hey, I want a foam pour, what would you recommend? We would recommend the Tmave.
So, and you said before, this is going to be more of maybe like darker malt coming
Yeah.
across, more coffee.
Yeah, more like a cappuccino kind of style.
Cappuccino. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, yeah. Totally get all of that coffee right up in there.
And definitely different tasting in the beer, but a fun experience nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think if anything, it's like a teaser to what your beer would be, right? Like,
And that's
because
what-
it is.
So that's what we do when people come in and they're kind of afraid of maybe some of the foamier pours. We try to say, well, why don't you take a milk shot to experience the foam? And then again, when you get that, even the Hladinka, you want to go for it quickly so you can taste what that foam tastes like. But this is what you're getting. It's the same exact thing.
Right.
It's just there's a little bit sitting on top of your beers. Just give it a shot, try it. We recommend that for people, even if they get a taster. Like one of your tasters should be a foam shot, something
Absolutely.
like that. So
Absolutely.
yeah, where the foam is sitting, like once you're here.
Sure.
So I typically wait till the foam is, it depends on your angle, right? And every person holds the angle a little different. But when the foam gets about to this little crease in the glass, maybe a little past it, that's when you want to start to think about going to full beer. But
All right.
again, depends on your angle. If you're
Let
more,
me try.
if you're, yeah, and feel free.
Let's do it.
So
And
you want to
said
start with
stay
a
to
little
the
bit,
side.
a little bit out. So remember, we want to just let a little bit of foam out
Okay,
first.
right?
A little bit out, and then under. Yep, there you go. That'll work.
And then
Yeah.
I fully submerge, correct?
This will work, yeah. Open all the way. All right, and shut and close.
Did
So,
not do it.
common
Mliko.
common beginner mistake. You move the mug at the same time as you open this. So most people, they want to move kind of both things at once. So they
Sure.
end up opening, and then you just poured beer on beer, which means you just made a bunch of foam. So
I think it's because yours are cleaner.
see how she didn't move the mug yet? She's letting that beer build up, and now we're pouring beer into beer.
Oh, and she's got drum skills in the back. I think she just hit a pedal.
She's
and
got
like
some speed
kickstand back there.
control. But that's a very common thing
I
people
didn't even
do.
see the flow valves.
All right, let's try one more.
All right,
Just
all
go,
right, all right.
yeah, go for the whole thing,
All
right from
all
there.
right.
Dump all that water out.
Oh.
And- yep, a little bit out. There you go. And then under. Yeah. Nice. And then open all the way. There you go. Let it build. Let it build. Now start to move it down. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Oh, you were so close. You were so close. You just got right on
Shit.
top of it.
Where we building, right?
But you can see, so remember I was talking about a flat top on the ones I
Sure.
poured? See how it's rounded up?
Yeah,
That means
it's got that
we've
meniscus.
created some drier foam. So go ahead, take a sip of that, try that beer, and see how it compares to some of the beers that I poured, the Mliko, the Schnitt. It's going to have a different consistency in the foam.
So I would say more beer heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely taste more of the malt character in the foam as opposed to just the foam and the hop.
And we're seeing bigger bubbles already, right? So it's airing out a lot more quickly because you kind of splash some beer on there. We all know, we've all done that as bartenders on this kind of faucet when you're trying to add a little foam.
Sure, yeah.
You splash it on top, right? When you pour with the Lucer faucets and you do that, you can get a lot of foam. So
not only is it delicious, but if done right, it tastes even better. So if you're out and about and somebody has a Lucer tap in their smaller brewery and you're like, hey, this isn't tasting right, you can call them out on it.
And we are always happy to have people buy. We love sharing how to pour these and training people. So we're always happy to have someone come by.
We still have some pretty snowflakes.
Yeah, yeah. So we got the clean glass, but yeah, just a different, again, it's going to have a very different texture to it.
That's good. You got to try some of these. They're awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
It's definitely upped my skills a little bit. I appreciate that.
It takes some practice.
And definitely, a practice and appreciation. Yes, for sure. Also, thank you for letting me behind your beautiful bar.
Yeah, of course.
I always love coming behind a bar and being like, oh, yeah, all right. They got it figured out. So
You can see some different vantage points for sure.
for sure. So are these the halvesies then?
So this is
over here?
This is a 0.3 liter.
0.3.
So we pour only Hladinka in this. It would
Okay.
be nearly impossible to pour a Schnitt. And with the Mliko, we want to give you either small size or you got to go for the whole thing. So we
Sure.
don't offer like a medium size on that.
You can't do a medium Mliko?
No,
All
we want you to either go big
Mliko.
or go small.
All right.
So we have the small ones, which we do tasters too. So if you're ever looking to just taste the beer, we do offer flights, just like you would at any brewery. But we try and push you towards the 3rd liter because we want you to taste some of that foam.
Sure, yeah.
So even in the 3rd liter, you can get a Hladinka pour with a little bit of that foam. On these, you can't really get that. So
Awesome.
that's why we kind of push towards this or this for people who are coming in new. But
I love it. And much easier on the gut, too. Like, if you were thinking it's way too much foam, I could go for days. I'm not full at all.
the Czechs often, I think, talk about how they drink the most per capita in the
Yeah,
world, and it's
yeah.
not really close.
Yeah.
And you can't be drinking that much per capita if it's not low ABV,
Yeah.
drinkable, and they would not have 10
not
of those.
full of bubbles.
Right.
Yeah,
If
right?
some days they drink 10. I've seen it. So you can't have 10 if
Yeah.
it's filling you up too much.
Yeah,
So.
challenge accepted. Let's do some tanks, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Super
we can,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, we could do a refresh.
I don't
Because
know.
what's fun, because we already have a really cool video, is we can put in all sorts of plugs.
Oh, yeah. I think we have more stuff on the wall since you came too. But
I'm
yeah,
taking this one with me.
yeah, you can come through the back.
Are you still doing, I think you were doing like once a week, the Czech guys are coming in with like
Yep.
a food truck type thing? Or
Yeah, so Joseph doesn't come every Sunday, but we have the Czech guy coming. He comes on Sundays, and or like every other Sunday, and then typically there's a group of regulars that come on Sunday too.
What's been their biggest, most popular food that they've been selling
On the truck?
with your beer? Yeah.
Schnitzel.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Who
his
doesn't love a
truck
good
is Schnitzel's Joe.
Okay.
Which in Czech they have a different word for Schnitzel, but it's much harder to pronounce. So he just opts for the German word that we all know.
What's the
Zizek?
harder? Zizek?
It's R with a scoop I, Z with a scoop E, K. Zizek.
Okay.
So yeah,
Very
Schnitzel
cool.
is much easier. Just like our anniversary beer, same that R, that makes like a zh sound. So that's Stigi.
Digi.
Stigi.
Stigi.
Right.
I have been to the Czech Republic once, and
Nice.
like any bad tourist, I just pointed and smiled.
Their
But at
Eng-
least I smiled.
Their English
I
is
said
getting
thank you.
their English is getting really good. All of the people that I've talked to and recently the English is excellent. So yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
outside of handles and how to pour these
Yeah.
awesome beers, like give us a brief little, we'll come back to, it
Sure.
has to start somewhere, right? You gotta, the cook's gotta cook in the kitchen. So it starts here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a 3-vessel, 15-barrel brew house that's built for decoction. So decoction is one
There
of
you go.
the big Czech brewing techniques. It's essentially just boiling your mash to create different temperature zones for enzymes to activate within the overall mash. So this brew house is designed to do that in a number of ways. We've got some larger piping. We've got the vessel that's separate so we can mix while we're boiling it, and all that kind of makes this brew house set up for that. So all of our beers are decocted. I've been told by Czech brewmasters you have to decoct to make Czech beer, so that's what we do.
That's what you do.
Each beer has a different number of decoctions based on the recipe. For our core beers, the 10 degree has 1 decoction, the Tmave has 2, and the 12 degree has 3. The 3 is an homage to Pilsner Urquell, who is one of the only breweries that still does 3 decoctions. Most of them do 2 at this point. But
Okay.
So this is definitely where we make a lot of influence on that beer. We use whole cone hops as well for our core beers.
Okay.
Any additions after 60 minutes left in the boil, so getting into the flavor and aroma additions. We're using whole cone instead of pellets.
Okay.
Whole cones lend that softer, rounder profile to a beer that's already pretty light and delicate. Pellets are great. They extract all of the oil. And for these beers, I don't want all of the oil. I want influence, but I don't want overwhelming hop influence.
And what kind of effect does that have on the foam then? And when I'm taking, go ahead.
I think less oil can help the foam stabilize a little bit. Oil
Okay.
is one thing that can cut foam. So
Sure.
if you've ever made like a double dry hop, double IPA,
Yep.
really hard
Yesterday.
to keep foam on that, right?
Yeah.
Like because there's so much oil that cuts that foam. So
Yeah.
oil and fat both cut foam.
Yep.
And that's one thing they'll do in Czech when you're training on pouring to show you like what happens when a glass is dirty. They'll rub their face, put it on the inside of the glass and then pour, and it just eats that foam up, right? You get big bubbles right away. You can't hold that tight, milky, wet foam. And so it shows you like, okay, this is what a dirty glass can do. So same thing oils would do from hops.
Okay.
They could add to that. It's not a big reason why we do that, but it doesn't hurt. So.
Very cool.
And then the other unique thing for us, I think, is the open fermentation.
Yeah.
There's nothing fermenting right now,
okay.
so you won't get any foam peaks this time. But
They're gonna make me have to go back through.
I already said that we were gonna. Those were such cool shots. I mean,
Yeah, they were.
you got a good day.
I wanted to put like little miniature characters.
You saw with
on
the
them.
meringue?
Yes.
That happens like on the second day for about 12 to 16 hours. Like it really is a short window where you get that. But
We caught it.
yeah, all of our beers start their fermentation in these. They sit here for 5 or 6 days. This is definitely an older Czech technique. I would say most modern breweries in Czech don't use this technique, but I wanted to embrace some of the older styles of production when I was making my beer, and this was one of the things that I was like, I love seeing these in these older breweries. I want to have them in my brewery. So I think the flavor impact we get is a little bit more yeast expression. Looking at this is a 15-barrel tank. That's a 3-barrel tank. So if you look, the height is almost the same. So when you make a 15-barrel tank that looks like this, which is a normal cylinder conical brewery tank, you end up with a lot more pressure, right? Hydrostatic pressure, just pressure from liquid sitting on your yeast, especially for a bottom fermenting yeast.
Mm-hmm.
And so we end up with a different profile when that yeast is under all that pressure. So these tanks, because of their different geometric shape, we end up with a reduced pressure on the yeast, a little bit more expressive character from the yeast. They're a little bit happier. I think they do a better job.
Yeah.
So that's one reason why we pick these. That's not just, hey, that's what the old breweries did.
So then, coming back to my consumer hat, then you gotta give me these. What are these horizontal looking things, and how does that affect delicious beer?
So these are the horizontal lagering tanks. Again, different in geometry. A lot of the same things happening in the fermentation room, happening here. So we still continue fermentation on this side. We move the beers over with a little bit of sugar left to ferment.
Okay.
That way we can capture natural carbonation, which is what you see happening in those little bubbling glasses right by the doors there. And then we also get to reduce the pressure on that yeast while we're doing that last little bit of cleanup. So
it's like a second fermentation?
So, I mean, nothing's been added or all that's happened is it's moved over, but sure, a secondary fermentation is not a bad way to talk about it. They move over here and they definitely undergo a fermentation under pressure, which is a big change for them.
Sure.
And this is where they kind of condition. So they get about a week to 10 days of finishing everything up, and then they start crashing down. And this is where they rest, still on all that yeast. They rest for anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks, depending on the beer.
Okay.
So during the early stages, that's when we're capturing this carbonation. So again, you can see the little bit of bubbles coming out here.
Yep.
So main byproducts of fermentation, alcohol, CO2. CO2, carbon dioxide, what makes that nice creamy foam that we like. We can get that by injecting it into the beer, or we can capture what's being produced by the yeast. So when you capture natural carbonation, I think there's a couple benefits. You get smaller gas bubbles, so it's a single cell organism, and when it makes CO2, it makes one molecule of carbon dioxide. As opposed to when you're pumping it in with a carb stone, you just get bigger bubbles. They're still microscopic, but microscopic and molecular are still different levels.
Big difference.
We also get to save money on CO2. That's a big thing. And then flavor-wise, most CO2 is made at ethanol plants. Ethanol plants don't really care at all into the gas. So there have been some triangle test flavor studies. What happens when you use natural carbonation, and consumers prefer that, especially, again, in lighter beers. On your IPA, where you're adding a ton of flavor, huge stout, lots of flavor, you might not notice it.
Yeah.
But again, light, delicate, 8 Plato, 3% alcohol, low hops.
Yes.
That's kind of beer. I don't want to chance that interaction that we would get. And it could be subtle, it could be in the background, but I'd prefer to use natural carbonation. This is also one of the things that all the Czechs do. So every Czech brewery I've been to, they naturally carbonate their beers.
Absolutely.
So that's a very common production technique that they use.
So when it comes to good Czech beer, and I can find it, starting at the beginning of the process, we've got that natural decoction, natural carbonation, decoction, open fermentation, natural carbonation, that ball valve on the Lucer tap, and then how you're ordering it.
Oh, yeah.
And you can just experience clean, crisp, delicious beer, right?
Yeah. And a couple of different ways too. That's the fun about the pouring, is
so much fun.
You could have each beer 3 ways. So that really is a new flavor, a new experience that we think we can offer with the same beer.
One beer times 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.